At sunrise, 72-year-old Martha tied the laces of her faded white sneakers, her fingers moving with practiced ease. She took a deep breath as the golden light began to spill across her small front porch. The morning air was cool and crisp, and she loved the way it smelled, fresh, like the start of a brand new story. She looked at the framed photo of her late husband on the hallway table before stepping out. "Wish you could see this beautiful morning, Bill," she whispered, her eyes softening. Martha had been walking the same 5-mile route every single day since she retired. She believed, wholeheartedly, that this routine kept her young. Every neighbor in town knew her cheerful wave and her unstoppable pace. As she made her way through the park, she passed Mrs. Rivera watering her roses. "Morning, Martha. You're my inspiration," Mrs. Rivera called out. Martha laughed and waved, her steps light and confident. Near the playground, she saw little Lucas learning to ride his bike, wobbling uncertainly. His mother looked up and smiled. "Morning, Martha. You're out early as always." These moments made Martha feel deeply alive. She took pride in being seen as strong, unstoppable, almost ageless. But behind her bright smile, she felt something different lately. Her knees felt like rusty hinges, her hips throbbed after each step, and by the time she returned home, she needed to collapse into her favorite chair for hours. Still, she pushed on. She believed if she just stayed moving, she could outrun age itself. After all, wasn't that what all the magazines and doctors said? Keep moving, keep living. Today, though, something felt different. As she crossed the small wooden bridge over the pond, she paused, holding the rail, breathing heavily. A sudden wave of fatigue washed over her, and for the first time in years, she wondered if all those miles were helping her, or quietly wearing her down. Later that afternoon, Martha sat quietly in the waiting room of Dr. Harris's office. She felt awkward and small, staring at a faded magazine cover that urged 10,000 steps a day for a longer life. Her fingers traced the edges nervously. When her name was called, she stood up slowly, feeling the familiar ache shoot up her knee. Dr. Harris welcomed her with a warm smile. He was a gentle man, his hair more silver than she remembered, and his eyes kind but perceptive. He listened patiently as Martha described her fatigue, her stubborn joint pain, and the heaviness she carried after her walks. "Martha," he said softly, folding his hands on the desk, "you've always been so dedicated to staying healthy. But sometimes, the advice we hear isn't one size fits all, especially after 70. She frowned, confused. "But I thought walking a lot keeps you young." "Everyone says so." Dr. Harris nodded slowly. "Walking is wonderful in moderation, but the long, intense walks you're doing can actually accelerate joint degeneration and stress your heart at your age. Your muscles need more recovery time now. Too much high-impact movement can increase inflammation and ironically, make you age faster rather than slower." Martha felt as if the floor had been pulled out from under her. She stared at him, her mouth slightly open. The idea that her beloved walks might be hurting her felt like a betrayal. "So, what do I do instead?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He smiled gently. "Gentle movement is the key now. Tai Chi, light yoga, short nature strolls, water aerobics, activities that focus on balance, flexibility, and preserving strength without stressing your joints." Martha looked down at her hands, fighting back tears. She felt like a piece of her identity was slipping away. Dr. Harris reached across the desk and squeezed her hand warmly. "This isn't the end of your journey, Martha. It's a new chapter, one that can be even more beautiful if you let it." That weekend, the morning sun rose quietly, painting soft golden streaks across Martha's porch. But for the first time in years, she wasn't out walking. Instead, she sat wrapped in her old knitted shawl, staring out at the empty sidewalk. She felt adrift, as if someone had taken away her compass. The sneakers by the door seemed to mock her, their laces lying loose like forgotten promises. She wondered if her neighbors noticed her absence. Did they miss her friendly waves? Would they still see her as strong? Just as she felt her eyes fill with tears, she heard a gentle knock at the gate. Mr. Jenkins, her neighbor of 15 years, stood there with a small pot of lavender in his hands. His sun hat was slightly crooked, and his cheeks were smudged with garden soil. "Martha," he called with his usual bright energy. "Brought you a little something from my garden." She managed a half-hearted smile and opened the gate. "Thank you, it's beautiful," she said, her voice soft and distant. Mr. Jenkins set the pot on the porch and studied her face. "You didn't go walking today?" he asked carefully. Martha sighed, her shoulders drooping. "Doctor says I've been pushing too hard. My walks might be hurting me more than helping. I don't know who I am without them." Mr. Jenkins paused, then pulled up a chair beside her. "Martha," he said gently, "you're so much more than your morning walks. You're the one who brings soup when someone's sick, who bakes pies for every holiday, who hugs every kid on this block. You've always moved with kindness, not just your feet, but your heart." His words washed over her like warm sunlight breaking through clouds. He placed the lavender pot in her hands. "Start small. Tend to this. Breathe. Slow down and let life come to you for once." Martha looked at the delicate purple blooms, inhaling their calming scent. In that moment, something inside her softened. She realized that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't about how far she moved, but how deeply she connected to each moment, and to the people around her. A week later, Martha stood hesitantly at the entrance of the community center, clutching the lavender pot Mr. Jenkins had given her. Her hands trembled slightly, she hadn't felt this nervous in years. Through the large glass doors, she could see a group of older adults moving slowly and gracefully in a sunlit room. Their arms floated like waves, their bodies swayed gently in unison. It looked so different from her brisk, pounding walks. Taking a deep breath, Martha stepped inside. A friendly instructor greeted her warmly. "Welcome. You're just in time for Tai Chi," she said, guiding Martha to an open spot by the window. At first, Martha felt awkward, almost foolish. Her legs didn't move the way she wanted, and her balance wobbled with every turn. She missed the old rush of wind on her face, the rhythmic sound of her sneakers hitting the pavement. But then, something shifted. As she moved her arms through the air, she felt a quiet strength awaken. Each breath seemed to wash away a layer of old tension. Her heart felt lighter, her mind clearer. She noticed the way the morning light streamed through the window, illuminating each gentle movement like a slow, silent dance. After class, Martha sat in the center's small garden, the lavender pot beside her. Her cheeks glowed, her eyes sparkled with a softness Emily hadn't seen in years. "Mom," Emily said when she arrived to pick her up, "you look peaceful." Martha smiled deeply. "I feel peaceful," she said, her voice carrying a warmth that filled the air. Over the next weeks, Martha began inviting her neighbors to join her. The community center blossomed with new friendships, shared laughter, and stories. People started looking forward to the classes as a place to heal, connect, and rediscover joy. Martha realized that she had been so focused on staying young, that she had forgotten the beauty of simply being present. As she stood among her new friends, palms floating in a graceful Tai Chi pose, Martha finally understood, life wasn't about racing forward, it was about embracing each gentle, precious moment along the way.